Can you give us more examples, perhaps, of what other companies are doing to invest more in women?
I'm happy to say that there are some great examples starting to pop up out there. One of my favorites, and a company on whom I've written a case. And by the way, they also perform very well in the sustainability space. Usually it's very surprising to people that I would talk positively about this company, but Walmart has done a fantastic job of not reacting and doing little things here and little things here in ways that are completely disconnected, but sitting down. CEO, first thing he did, the previous CEO, Mike Duke, was to recognize that there were issues, that this was something he cared about, and he put together a CEO council of women leaders, almost like his internal consulting team of women. The women developed, along with Mike, the CEO, strategy, and it was a 4-pronged strategy. 3 of those prongs were looking at internal women and men in their leadership structure. What was the gender equity? What was the parity? They actually do quite well. They are a Fortune 1 company who has 3 women on their board, so they're already outperforming at the top tier. They have several female presidents, president of Walmart Canada, president of Sam's, both are women. So they found that they are doing quite well. And that's a straight business play. Over 80% of shoppers of Walmart are women, so it makes a lot of sense. They looked at training programs for women, and were they developing the right sort of support structure, leadership training to really make women feel that they could put their name in the hat if they didn't meet 100% of the characteristics. The 4th prong was really taking a look at their supply chain. And they have invested significantly in female-owned enterprises who produce products that are then marketed inside of Walmart. And about a year ago, they launched a label that is on products sold in the store. So now you're consumer-facing, that says women-owned enterprise, so that this product came from a female-owned enterprise. They've doubled their sourcing in women-owned enterprises. They've implemented a hands-on training program for females in the supply chain who may not have access traditionally in the developing world to traditional business training, to an MBA, and they're utilizing Walmart employees. They're partnering with nonprofits on the ground. It's a really effective strategic partnership model to provide training to these female entrepreneurs to really help make them much more successful.
Well, you started out by saying you'd be surprised to know, and we know, like in the general mass media, there's been a history of, lawsuits or negative press for Walmart. So is this a shift in leadership you're saying it's not reactive? So can you explain a little?
There is a lot of speculation that it is reactive. They have won, but been hit with one of the country's largest gender equity case. It was not found to be true. I tend to be someone who doesn't get as caught up on motivations. Maybe that was one of their motivations. I tend to look more at the impact. It doesn't matter why they were motivated, but if they're having a significantly positive impact, that's what matters to me.
Maybe there's some more examples of companies making that social environmental impact, and is it due to women?
What I tried to do with the study that I mentioned, looking at environmental, social, and governance performance and women on the board, since we couldn't prove causality, was to go out and interview female board members. And it was really fascinating to hear some of their responses. One woman who worked for an investment bank said, "I don't want to interview because I don't think there's any correlation. Women don't behave any more differently than do men," which may be indicative of what does happen in the investment banking space, because I would say historically women have had to look like men to be successful in that space. It's a heavily male-dominated industry. But some of the other female board members, one woman said, I get asked to serve on multiple boards. I have to choose. I can't serve on them all. I self-select into companies who are either already performing well on a sustainability metric or who are at least grappling with this and talking about it. The third woman sat there and said, I don't think there is a difference. And she thought about it. And then she realized that on one board on which she sat, she did self-select into the committee of the board that was focused on corporate shared value. This company is very engaged on corporate shared value. And she self-selected into the committee of the board. And she had never really thought about it. But she said, this is something I'm passionate about.